Meanwhile, the coronavirus situation continues to develop in incredibly foolish ways. And when I say that it's developing in incredibly foolish ways, what I mean is it is now clear that we have flattened the curve as much as we are going to flatten the curve with these lockdowns. So you've been hearing all sorts of basically media lies about the elevation of cases. Oh, we're not locking this thing down. New York's starting to decline, but everywhere else is not starting to decline. Okay, you can't do it the way the media is doing it. They're doing an absolute number of cases rising outside of New York. Okay, here's an actual chart showing the number of daily positives declining as a percentage of the actual test. That is the question, right? If you take a look at the daily positives declining chart from Scott Gottlieb, that's the one I want, right? The U.S. daily positivity rate over time is declining. So what you see here is that there was a sharp rise between basically March 13th and April 10th or so, which makes sense because those are the 2 weeks following lockdown. So the infection is still running rampant, and you're starting to see the testing increases, and you're starting to see people testing positive more often. And now you're starting to see a fairly sharp decline to the point where we are now in terms of daily positivity test rate. We're now down around 10%. We're up at about 20%. So it's been halved. So that's a pretty solid flattening of the curve that has happened right there. And then, so what this raises the question of is what exactly are we attempting to do now, right? We've locked it down, right? We had the lockdown, we flattened the curve. And in flattening the curve, we completely flattened the economy. The economy has completely flatlined. Layoffs have now topped 33 million in the United States, 33 million. The unemployment rate in the United States is now 14.7%. These are Great Depression levels of unemployment. JP Morgan is suggesting it will take 10 years for the economy to recover the jobs that it lost just in the last month and a half alone. Okay, are we allowed to discuss risks and trade-offs anymore? Are we allowed to do that now? Or are we going to continue to do this routine where if we talk about opening up at all, then we are going to, then we're killing grandma? So for the folks who are pushing lockdown, it is obvious this is a political ploy. Andrew Cuomo continues to play this game. The worst, really, he's a terrible governor, Andrew Cuomo. It's incredible. The man has an approval rating in the 80s. He has mishandled this worse than any governor in America. Worse than Gavin Newsom. Worse than any of the Republicans who are brought under scrutiny. Ron DeSantis is riding in the mid-50s right now. Ron DeSantis handled this way better than anybody else. Okay, Ron DeSantis basically said, listen, we're only going to shut down when we feel the necessity to shut down. Every place else stays open. And yes, we'll do social distancing, but I'm not going to treat the panhandle of Florida the same way that I'm going to treat Miami and South Beach. DeSantis yesterday, for example, he said, listen, people should be outdoors. They should be on beaches. As long as they're staying away from each other, there's no evidence of outdoor transmission.
We have virtually no evidence of any outdoor transmissions leading to outbreaks, be it a beach, be it a golf course, via fishing, anything that Florida is known for. The transmission has typically occurred in enclosed environments when you have repeated contact with someone, such as in the home. And so our policy was never to try to drive people indoors.
It does show the incredible power of the media that DeSantis is down in the mid-50s. Well, dumbass Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's been awful. I mean, the fact that he gets on TV and he tells you the bad news, he only has the luxury of telling you the bad news because he can blame Trump at the top of the government. But, I mean, when he says stuff like, he's such a demagogue. When he says stuff like, you know, every life is priceless. Again, every life is priceless in terms of its moral worth. When it comes to actually calculating public policy, nobody suggests that we have to mitigate all risks down to zero. And this seems to be the newfangled thought here, is that we're going to mitigate all risks down to zero. You can't come out of your homes. You can't start to go back to work with social distancing. We can't protect that. We're going to just stay locked down forever until the risks go back to zero. We're going to abolish death. Right? Joe Biden tweeted out that it's not worth one life. It's not worth one life to raise the Dow Jones Industrial Average 1 point. Okay, well then I suppose that we should probably just all abandon our jobs, and then we can sit in our homes and we can farm dirt in our backyard. Sound good? We can go back to pre-civilization era when everybody's life expectancy was 35. I mean, I guess that's a good alternative if you're a moron. So here's Andrew Cuomo suggesting yesterday, you know, we're not going to choose between the health and the economy. There's no choice. It's a false choice. Whenever people suggest in politics that a choice is a false choice, typically they mean that it's just a choice they don't actually want to talk about. Here's Andrew Cuomo avoiding responsibility for making choices that he's going to have to make.
If it's about money, we'll figure it out. But you have to have your health. That's why public health versus the economy. I don't see the trade-off. We have to have our health. We should protect human life. I don't care if a person is old. You know, I'm old by your definition. I still think I have a value, right? My mother's old. You know, she's the most precious person to me. So protect every life. And I'm not going to trade off public health, and we'll figure out the dollars and we'll figure out the economic impact.
What a cheap and lazy political point of view. I mean, that is just cheap, lazy demagoguery. Of course, every life has value. Of course, I've got parents who are in their 60s. You think I want them to plot? Nobody wants I have grandmothers who are in their 90s. Do you think I want them to plot? Of course, I don't want them to plot. Nobody wants anybody to die. The question is, what are the risks that we as a society are willing to undertake to allow an economy to function? Okay, this is complete idiocy, the way that this is being discussed. Complete idiocy. And by the way, I don't want to hear from Andrew Cuomo about how dedicated he is to protecting the elderly when he wouldn't even protect the damn nursing homes. Let me show you some stats from these nursing homes because they're insane. Let me tell you some stats from the nursing homes. Okay, so by country, here are the percentage of COVID-19 deaths taking place in nursing homes. This is across the world, okay? 25% of all deaths in Australia were in nursing homes. 62% in Canada, 33% in Denmark, 51% in France, 36% in Germany, 60% in Ireland, 32% in Israel, 40% in Portugal, 45% in Sweden. Okay, and then if you look at the United States, what you're going to see is similar statistics. In the United States, by state, 58% of deaths, nursing homes. Connecticut, 55%. Delaware, 65%. Florida, 38%. Georgia, 48%. Indiana, 35%. Kentucky, 57%. Louisiana, 37%. Minnesota, 81%. Mississippi, 44%. New Hampshire, 77%. Oklahoma, 43%. Rhode Island, 76%. Tennessee, 25%. Wisconsin, 42%. New Jersey is reporting that their death share is actually now 50%. Pennsylvania is up to 68%. Virginia is 59% nursing homes. New York, we don't know because New York refuses to report these statistics. Why does New York refuse to report the statistics? Because then Andrew Cuomo might be forced to recognize that his dumbass policy of we are going to force nursing homes to take back in people with COVID-19 killed a lot of people. Here was Andrew Cuomo being asked about his state handling of the nursing homes and completely, just botching it.
We knew the nursing homes were going to be a target, and whatever we do, they will be a target. Our people are doing everything they can do. We have the equipment, we have the staff. They're doing everything they could do.
Okay, they're doing everything they can do. Well, they're doing everything they can do in light of the fact that your regulations are garbage. But here's the bottom line. Would you actually like to protect the people who are dying from COVID-19? Protect the nursing homes. That is task number one, is protect the nursing homes. And then we need to tranche people back into work, and we need to do it forthwith. And there's nothing more lazy than this idea that if you loosen lockdown, if you let people go back to work, that it's going to be like 9/11 every day. This is what Al Gore was saying. Al Gore was out there yesterday saying it'll be just like 9/11 every day. Provide me an alternative. I've not yet heard an alternative from any of you. From any of you. Like what? When the cases get to zero, it ain't happening. With 80% asymptomatic transmission. What, when we're doing 50 million tests a day? When we have contact tracing for 50 million people in the United States? The hell are you talking about? Here's Al Gore being a demagogue.
When the University of Washington made these adjustments, they said within a month we're going to see 3,000 deaths per day, 200,000 new infections each day. That's a 9/11 every single day. And ignoring that, thinking that somehow magically that's not going to happen, this is a botched reopening.
It's a botched reopening? We haven't even reopened yet. The hell are you talking about? And how do you know it's a botchery when you haven't even seen the stats coming out of Georgia? My favorite thing is when the members of the media start citing increased testing statistics to cite the increased number of positives. They've been doing this routine. Oh, look at how many positives are coming out in Texas and Florida. Yes, because they're increasing their testing. They're increasing their testing, you idiots. Okay, in just a second, we're going to get to actually, the measures that are now being taken because they're absurd. They're absurd. I'm sorry. They're just absurd. And the attitude that's being taken with regard to relieving lockdown, we have to discuss the fact that 33 million Americans are out of jobs. And if you refuse to recognize this thing, you are abandoning those 33 million Americans. And don't tell me you can fill them in with a government check. You can't. These are people who are losing their livelihoods. They're losing their dreams. They're losing their ability to feed their children. And you're telling me you're the compassionate one because you won't even condemn a governor for refusing to protect the nursing homes? Go to hell. Seriously, it's ridiculous at this point. Did you know that every like on this video creates one additional leftist tier? Don't ask me why. That's called science. To take advantage of this amazing opportunity, hit the like button.